I want to talk today about the importance of systems. I started a lot of stuff in my life, many big goals, grand visions, megalomaniacal plans that ultimately went nowhere because once the going got rough, or I should say, not even got rough, but once I put in a certain amount of effort into it and that initial excitement failed, that dopamine rush went away, and I realized that nothing was happening, or so I thought, I eventually gave up, thinking, this is the wrong plan, or I should just try something else because that is going to work where this one didn't. And there is a time to actually stop and pivot, but you have to have an accurate assessment of how to decide when the time is. Otherwise, you might just be jumping off one thing because you simply haven't stuck with it long enough. And every time I quit, I always thought that either I was just a failure or that I was lazy. Like I was just one of these people who doesn't have what it takes to get things done, or worse yet, that I wasn't smart enough. Maybe success is something that is given in the cards when you're born, or some garbage like that, and I just didn't get the lucky card. Of course, we know that's ridiculous, but when you keep banging your head against the same wall, going nowhere, eventually you might come to such a conclusion. However, I know now the reason why all of these plans went nowhere, and it had nothing to do with me being lazy or stupid, neither of which I believe I am. And that was because no one had taught me the importance of systems over things like motivation. Motivation, like willpower, is very much a depletable resource. You simply cannot run a motivation forever. This is why if you look, for example, if you look on X or YouTube or wherever you see these motivational charlatan gurus, they'll blurt something out like, discipline beats motivation. And all the normies are like, wow, really? So I'm not even going to talk about discipline now because it's not even about that. It's about systems. Motivation, we already know, is not going to last forever. The rush is going to go away. Imagine you're starting a business, right? Or imagine you want to get cut. You want to become a goddamn specimen. Do you think motivation is going to carry you through all those times that you don't feel like getting up in the morning when it's cold outside, you don't want to go to the gym, or when your business is floundering and you're thinking, I don't know if this is going to go anywhere, and you get that fear in you, like I already put a lot of time into this and I've invested money and maybe I should stop while I'm still ahead and just cut my losses. You think motivation is going to carry you through those times? No, of course not. So it's about removing the burden of decision from your actions. It's about removing your emotions from your actions. And the way you do that is by setting up systems. And systems means quite exactly what it is. You have calendars, you have routines, you have appointments, you have habits, whatever is repeatable and automated so that you do not have to think about it. That is the true enemy of people that quit too early, because we were never taught this. If you look back on all the things that you've ever tried to do, like getting cut, for example, right? If you tried to get in shape before and it didn't go anywhere, and then you thought, oh man, I'm not strong-willed enough. That is not true. Yes, there are people that are not strong-willed. There are people that are weak. There are people that are destined to be civilians for the rest of their lives. But if you're listening to this, I guarantee you, you're not, because it would have just gone over your head. You would have been like, what's this guy talking? What? Let me scroll some funny stuff. You would not be listening to this. So that is not you. Already, you are at least a couple of steps ahead than the average idiot civilian. The way that you do this is by removing the burden of decision and removing emotions. Let me give you an example of how I do this, for example, with my meal plans. I'm on 1,800 calories a day, and I gotta hit 150 grams of protein every day, non-negotiable. Carbs and fats, I don't really count. I eat whatever I feel like as long as my protein and my calories are set. Now, how does the average person decide what they're gonna eat? Come 10, 10:30, 11 a.m., that's when they start thinking about lunch, right? It's almost 11, yeah, what are we gonna eat? When you make decisions like that on the spot, you are susceptible to the currents of daily life. Maybe you're stressed, maybe you're in a rush, maybe you're annoyed. The way to remove your own emotion and your own decision power from this equation is quite simple. Just decide what you're going to eat in advance. That's why when people cut, they refer to meal plans. But I'm not talking about you now spending your whole Saturday with 8, 15, 24 food containers like some bodybuilder whose entire life is devoted to being in shape. I'm talking about just decide what you're going to eat in advance. For me, I do it every morning because I don't eat breakfast, so there's no decision there. I wake up in the morning, I look in MyFitnessPal, and I sit there and I decide what I'm going to eat. By this point, I'm going to look at previous days and I'll be like, okay, I like that day's combo. My calories and protein all fit. I'm just going to copy that one. I have a set number of meals that I rotate through that I enjoy and I can eat repeatedly. So I'm not sitting now thinking, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I got to order lunch. What should I get? And that's when you start to fail. Now, you might think this is not a big deal if you have never done it in your life. If you have never in your life sat there and planned something in advance with the express purpose of removing your burden of decision from it, you might just think, yeah, whether I decide before or later, what difference does it make? And I'm telling you, if you've never done this, you cannot understand its power just by listening to me tell you, hey, plan your meals in MyFitnessPal like the day before or the morning of. Just try it. Let's say that you are trying to hit 100 consecutive push-ups. So you have a plan to do 3 sets of push-ups per day. I'm just making this up. It's a little more involved to hit 100 push-ups, not just do 3 sets of push-ups per day, but for the sake of simplicity. So you think to yourself, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do 3 per day. Do you think you're gonna remember to do 3 per day? You wake up in the morning, you go to the day job, whatever you do, you're like, oh, wait, I gotta do my first set. You do your first set, you're like, yeah, pat myself on the back, right? Then what happens? You forget. The rest of the day you forget. Or it jumps in your mind at some point and you're like, oh, but let me do this first, I'm busy now. Because there's too much processing power. Our minds are not made for holding ideas or reminders. They are made for executing tasks. That's very important to understand. So what would you do in this case? Set a timer 3 times a day. Every single time that timer comes on, like a lab rat, boom, you execute. Drop, do a set. Anything else in life that you need to accomplish that is part of a goal or anything that you want to reach, it needs to be automated. Now, again, if you're not used to thinking this way, the challenge for you might be even distinguishing what those parts are that need to be automated, because you've just been so used to just living in this kind of operational fog, if you will, where you just kind of do things as they come, just as you think of them. And you think this is normal because you haven't realized what a toll it takes on your cognitive stores, on your analytical abilities. So from this point forward, if you're cutting, if you have certain tasks that are connected to a goal that you want to accomplish, sit there, figure out what those tasks are. We're talking the repeatable tasks. I like to call them the needle movers because it's an easy way to understand. I'm talking about the things that matter. Distill those tasks, sit down and think about it if you need to, make a list, and then create a calendar or block out time. Like use the reminders app on your phone and just set reminders. If you just used these things to their maximum potential, there's so many things that you could change about your life that would enable you in turn to finally start making progress in the important things that will eventually free you, like becoming a physical specimen, like working on breaking out of the mental chains that the modern world is designed to put you in, so that you can be a docile and obedient consumer, so that you can focus on starting your own business, so that you can focus on networking, making connections with other kindred spirits, with other brothers that are actually out there to build real freedom. I'm talking about operators, not people that are looking for some dumbass influencer. You know, a lot of people feel like they just want a daddy with abs, basically. And I'm talking about our tribe, people that are out there to get things done. I am building a group for people that are serious, for people that want to build real freedom. It's not just about, oh, get fit, get chicks, get money, go party. That's low level garbage. I'm talking about total and complete freedom. I'm talking about utter divorce from the trap of modernity. That means the 4 pillars of sovereignty as I have defined them, which is muscle, mindset, money, and movement. Movement meaning you are geolocationally free to go and live where you please, when you please. So I'm looking for a couple of guys that want to get this started. We are going to be the nucleus. We are going to be the beginning of this tribe. So if you're interested in that, click down below, come talk to me in there, and let's start taking control of this while there's still time. All of them out there, they really are going to own nothing, and they will be happy. They really will. But that's not us.